There isn't really any doubt that climate change has significant financial impacts. If you look at the increasing number of the weather-related catastrophes, you can see that the insurance are paying a lot more money to people who have lost their houses or assets as a result of climate change. There are studies that show that almost $43 trillion of assets and investment could be basically wiped off as a result of climate change-related risks.
We must act all together, all the hands on the deck. It's not government only, businesses, civil societies, all NGOs and volunteers. This is our world. This is our planet Earth. This is a very small planet if we consider vastness of universe. If we cannot swim together, we all will sink. And there is no plan B because we do not have planet B.
In order to be successful in that, we really need to build trust among parties. And one very important element to build the trust among parties is financing. Governments need to know that the financing element, if they really engage into implementing the Paris Agreement, is going to be delivered. And they also know that it is not only public money. It is going to be really and mainly money that needs to be mobilized from the financial community, from the investors, from businesses. So there is a really major role that the financial community, all of you, can play in building up that trust.
So to the application to climate change. I think from our perspective, I think it has a couple of important implications. The first is that as investors, you can no longer ignore climate change. I think it's safe to say that if you're not a climate-aware investor, then you're fundamentally not doing your job. That's true because of the wide array of risks that we just heard about, be they physical or regulatory. It's also true because of emerging evidence about the performance of companies over time. And I think we are at a moment where the proliferation of data is actually allowing for much more textured assessment about those companies that actually effectively manage climate-related risks, manage the way in which they utilize energy, actually outperform over time. Now, there's lots of questions about how to measure that over duration and time frame, what the actual causation stream is, whether it's about operational improvement or mitigating risk. All those questions are important for investors to sort out. But at base, you have to be climate aware, because there is from an investor standpoint and from an asset owner standpoint, there's an important initial question about knowing what you own and understanding the risks associated with the portfolio that you own. And risks not just in a static sense, but in a dynamic sense over time. And so
what we're finding now, and I think it's just going to accelerate as a follow-up to the Paris Agreement, is that more opportunities are presenting themselves to us. So, the whole area of renewable energy opportunities and new technologies, clean tech and so on. So I think it's going to be easier for us to find those opportunities, both for opportunities to invest within New York State, within the US, and certainly globally. And I think that's going to provide us with some really exciting opportunities that we're going to embrace.
Well, I invest with my staff $70 billion globally across all asset classes, so real estate, stocks, you name it. And global climate change can affect all of that, both in terms of opportunities to have a good return for the portfolio, but also in terms of risk.
We'll often hear green investment as being roughly about green technology, as though we can fix the existing technology, the existing economy, if we had a cleverer set of technologies and we invested in them fast enough. In my view, that's a partial understanding of the investment needs of a green economy. It has also to be about infrastructure, about public infrastructure, in particular around building infrastructure, around community spaces. It has to be about the protection of ecological assets as well as financial and physical assets, and it has to deliver us the kind of enterprise that really makes sense, the bits of the economy where it makes sense to grow.
For us as an investor to make a decision, disclosure is key. So if we don't know, what the companies are doing, if they're not disclosing how they're assessing the risk, how they're measuring their carbon footprint, what is their emissions profile, then we can't make some more intelligent choices on where we're putting our money. So with all the risks that come with climate change, one of the fundamentals is disclosure. And more companies have been moving in this direction. Not all of them have been. So I think to have a more formalized strategy on how to inventory the disclosures that are there and encourage more corporate disclosures, I think is very, very smart, and certainly is an important part of the puzzle to follow.
Really at the heart, they ensure better disclosure, more transparency. And as a large institutional investor, it's critical that we have a good lens on environmental issues that can impact investments both now in the short term and in the longer term.
It is incumbent on investors like us, asset owners and asset managers alike, stewards of long-term value, to work with companies to bend the arc of sustainability in the right direction. Think about the global assets under management. $70 trillion. $70 trillion. That's a lot of capital firepower to put behind the climate challenge. So I say to all of us here today, let's redouble our commitment to working together to steer companies onto a path towards a cleaner, healthier, and more sustainable future. Or, as my favorite Mother Teresa quote said, "Yesterday is gone, tomorrow has not yet come. We have only today. Let us begin."